life is actually really simple.
All right.
I mean, the meaning of life on this, as the meaning of life as most people know it, like in this plane of existence, like why is it we come to this planet? And that's I think an important distinction because a lot of people confuse life and like they think of life as being like this momentary thing that's like life and death are illusory to begin with. Like there is no death, and which means technically there is only life or there is no life because you don't need to give it a term to describe it if it's not within duality. It just is what is. We all exist and we all shall forever exist. That is part of truth of existence. You can't not exist. You will change form many times, but you will always be. So it's like, why do we, as an infinite source of consciousness that can create and do anything, ever choose to come to this plane of existence and experience sorrow or pain or suffering of any kind? And that would be the meaning of life, basically. Why do we come to this planet? Why do we choose this world ever? And the answer is actually quite simple. It's to experience the emotions. Like if you think of your emotions as a palette of colors that you can paint a picture with, and that picture would be a story or an event or an experience. If you did not have those colors to work with, if you didn't have red and blue and yellow and green and orange, what would you paint? If the only color that you had to work with was white, what would you make? You could only ever make white. You would have no story. You would have no anything. So the reason I say this is like think about all the beautiful stories out there that we enjoy. And the first step is acknowledge that you enjoy them. I like Star Wars. It's a great movie. Um, there's a lot of movies out there I enjoy. I like Finding Nemo. I like Finding Dory. I like a lot of stories. I love X-Men. I think X-Men is great. None of these stories, any of them, would have any meaning or purpose whatsoever if I did not understand the emotions that the characters on the screen were going through. If I did not know sadness, if I have not experienced it on some level, if I did not understand it to some extent, I would have no sympathy. If I did not know or understand anger to some extent, I would have the movie would cease to exist. It would cease to make sense. If I did not know lack, meaning if I have not experienced like not getting what I wanted, or like if all I ever knew was getting whatever I wanted, I would have no sense or understanding of the concept of appreciation. And appreciation is a beautiful emotion. But in order to gain that understanding, I had to experience lack at some point, whether it's this life or a previous one. So when you talk about why come here, we come here so that we can learn emotions. We come to this planet so that we can learn all the colors of the spectrum of existence, at least that are granted on this planet, so that when we do go back to being a God being or a God entity or a pure creator, we have something to work with. Our palette is no longer just white. We have all the colors. When we paint experiences to act out, we can actually cry. We can actually feel some sense of purpose or reason behind it. When we create a bad guy, there's a reason he's a bad guy. So it's like, you say you're a writer. Ultimately, writing would mean nothing if you had not experienced emotion. And your emotion comes from the ups and the downs of the world, of this world. So, the meaning of life is not that complicated. It just takes, to know it just takes understanding of who you are on a greater level, meaning we're all like infinite God beings, basically. And then, consciousness and creation. And then why come here in the first place? Why experience it? It's to refresh your palette of emotions and colors. I mean, if you've been around forever, I imagine we all have to come back here eventually. It's like, even if you've been here and you've become the Buddha, you've gone through all the colors and you know them all. Well, if you go back to heaven and you're in heaven for, a million years, you're eventually going to forget what sadness feels like. More than likely. And when that comes, it's time to come back. You got to learn it again.